first met them 5 years ago. 3 young people, kids really, who identified as transgender. So what has life been like for them growing up trans? Rita Braver has our Sunday morning cover story.
What do you think is the most important lesson you've learned over the past couple of years?
To speak up for myself.
Like a lot of recent high school grads, Zoe Luna is reflecting on her teenage years.
I think a lot of people don't realize that trans kids are just kids. We go through the same things, we go through the same heartbreaks, we go through the same struggles, the same teenage experience. And most of the time we're not able to go through them because people are so focused on being like, you're a trans kid, we have to treat you differently.
Zoe has faced more than the usual teenage angst. We first met her 5 years ago when she was 12, and Sunday Morning did a story on what was then an emerging phenomenon. More young people openly acknowledging that they are transgender. Biologically a male, Zoe never felt like one.
I like the color pink, I scream like a girl, I act like a girl, I breathe like a girl. I'm not a boy. Like, I would just be very defensive about it.
Along with Venice and Maddie, Zoe was one of 3 transgender young people we profiled in that story. Since then, the subject of transgender kids has moved into the mainstream. But some things have still not changed. Zoe told us 5 years ago she was bullied in middle school.
Like, it's just the whole school. Even, like, the kids that do seem like they're good kids, they even make fun of me.
In fact, a 2017 survey found that the vast majority of transgender youth say they are bullied and feel unsafe in school.
Eventually I'm gonna be...
But Zoe says in high school, she learned not to care about being teased.
For me, it started with realizing, you know, I have nothing to be ashamed of. I'm transgender, other people are Latina, Black, white, you know, like, we all have our different titles or our different ways of identifying.
Still, life has been something of a roller coaster for Zoe. She happily celebrated her quinceañera, a traditional 15th birthday celebration for Latina girls, which was featured in an HBO special.
I now present this Bible to you. Congratulations.
And she has just been cast in a major film. Zoe is now engaged to her boyfriend of 2 years, who is also transgender. But she is estranged from her family and has been coping with some other difficult issues. When we met you 5 years ago, we went with you to the doctor to talk about medical transitioning.
Any pain? No.
Where are you medically now?
Medically, I'm still taking hormones.
Any changes in your medication?
I always used to want to get reassignment surgery because I always felt like that would make me a complete woman. But I'm a woman because I say I'm a woman, regardless of whether I have a vagina or a penis. I'm kind of just completely comfortable with myself.
But other trans kids, like Venice, whom we also caught up with after 5 years, are making different decisions.
I feel since I do want to work with society, the best way...
Venice was born biologically a female, but always identified as a male.
About a month ago, I had a hysterectomy, and about 3 years ago, when I was a freshman in high school, I had top surgery.
It means that you won't have breasts like a woman has.
Yes. Personally, for me, I feel top surgery was very important because every time I would look in the mirror, I would just be disgusted with myself. And just being able to go to the beach with my friends and being able to feel comfortable in my body, swimming and surfing, and I wasn't able to experience those joyful moments before.
When we first met Venice at age 13, he came across as a happy-go-lucky kid. But he says things were darker than they seemed. We know that the suicide rates are much higher among transgender youth. You actually felt suicidal at some points?
Yes, at multiple points during my life, especially going through puberty, I felt extremely suicidal.
Now 18, Venice says the complete support of his family has helped him through, and he's now hopeful about his future. You describe yourself as loud and proud. What does that mean?
I'm able to just walk out my doors and yell, "I'm trans," even though like I wouldn't, but
Still, he's watched with dismay as the Trump administration has tried to roll back all kinds of protections for transgender people, including the right to choose which bathrooms and other facilities they may use.
I feel baffled because I'm like, why would people be looking at each other's body parts anyway in the restroom, especially when we're all just there to go pee and walk out?
What's the hardest part of being trans for you?
Nothing really.
At 11, Maddie has not had to think about the politics of being transgender. She was just 6 years old when she first talked to us about being born a biological male. What did you think?
A girl. I was a girl.
You knew.
Yeah.
How'd you know?
I just figured that out.
Today, she says she doesn't focus on her gender, and neither do her classmates. Some of the kids at school are aware that you're trans.
Yeah,
How do they react to that?
just I'm the normal school kid. It's probably only like one day of a little bit of shock, then the rest is just normal.
Maddie says she feels lucky to have such a loving family. Her parents, Christy and Enrique, have tried to help her meet other trans kids, but also learn to cope with being different from most of her peers.
I think we both have continued that message with her, that this is nothing to be ashamed of. It's part of who you are. It doesn't have to be the part that you lead with when you meet somebody. So how was your day? Good. Yeah?
Maddie is now at an age where she is beginning to think about using hormones
Take a breath.
to help her develop as a girl.
We give you the right hormone so that your body goes through the right puberty.
She says she's not looking forward to getting shots, but what's the upside of it for you?
Changing what I don't want.
And that's what you're determined to do.
Yeah. Or they said, oh, I already know. I already know.
Maddie's parents know things may get more difficult for her as she gets older.
Lose that tooth. Lose that tooth.
But they also say they see positive changes in public attitudes.
I can remember in the beginning when I was explaining to people, oh, my daughter's trans, they had no idea what that meant. Now the conversation starts at a more advanced place with the majority of people because there's more information out there.
What's your hope for Maddie in the future?
Continued happiness, peace, love.
Pretty much the same thing any parent wants for their child.
Yeah, yeah.
Try.
I feel like if folks were just to educate themselves more and they'd be able to understand, like, trans people are people.
What are your hopes for your life in 5 years?
I don't know. I just hope that wherever I am in 5 years, I'm content, I'm happy, and I have a place to call home.